Once upon a time, there was a small group with a big name, Menudo. Despite its modest meaning, small change in Spanish, the group was destined for great things. They quickly became the darlings of Latin pop, loved not only at home, but also in North America and Europe, showing the world that music knows no borders. Each song, an anthem, each performance, a celebration. Under the guidance of producer Edgardo Diaz, Menudo is not just a musical group, it's a constantly evolving phenomenon. Edgardo, a visionary, implements an unprecedented strategy, the replacement of members when they reach the age of 16. This approach keeps the group eternally young and appealing. But this youth comes with its own challenges. The pressure of living under the intense spotlight of young fame begins to reveal cracks. Scandals emerge, revealing a more complex and darker reality of Menudo's history. It was 1977 in Puerto Rico, a vibrant island pulsating with Latin rhythms. In this setting, a dream was born, a vision of Edgardo Diaz, to create a group that would capture the hearts of young Puerto Ricans. Before creating Menudo, Edgardo went to Spain to expand his knowledge. The experience with the world of live shows opened his eyes to what he could do in entertainment. Back in Puerto Rico, he had a plan to set up a musical group only with talented young people from his land, with the aim of doing something totally new for the young audience. He chose 5 boys from 2 families of friends and relatives, the Melendez and the Salaberry. A combination of voices, charisma, and youthful passion. Menudo would not just be a group, it would be a family. In a garage in the city of Guaynabo, while other boys played ball, the Melendez and Salaberry brothers rehearsed. They sang hits from the 70s, dreaming of applause and spotlights. Edgardo knew that the path to success required more than talent. It required training, discipline, and familiarity with the stages. He took them to radio studios, where they recorded commercials and became familiar with the art and magic of the studios. To promote themselves, they began to play at local festivals throughout the country. Soon, they also gained success on TV. As Menudo evolved, its members were replaced by new talents and they began to break barriers. Their music, vibrant and full of life, crossed the borders of the island, taking with it the essence of Puerto Rican culture. International success was not just a musical achievement, it was a matter of national pride. The Puerto Rican sensation spread vigorously throughout Latin America from 1981. Venezuela, Peru, El Salvador, Mexico, Brazil. In each country, fans surrendered to the phenomenon. Europe, with its cultural diversity, also embraced the group with enthusiasm. In Spain, their songs found a familiar home, while in countries like Italy and France, they were greeted as international stars. At each concert, the response from the fans is overwhelming. They are not just crowds, they are communities of admiration and affection.
Y yo le digo que sí. Entramos en la pista y comienzo a temblar.
Vamos a volar. Cuando puedas cualquier cosa puede ocurrir. Al venir, vienes y te vas dejando tu recuerdo. Cuando hagas un nuevo cielo, para que la paz le vaya. Por eso prende la televisión.
To make his boys more attractive, Edgardo Diaz created what is today recognized as the standard for boy band members. There was the funny one, the heartthrob, the cute one, and the rebel. What Edgardo wanted was for the group to wear tight clothes from popular brands while they sang and showed contagious dance steps, an effective formula to attract a legion of young teenagers in the period of puberty. Menudo was more than a group. It was an extremely profitable brand. Movies, records, clothes, toys, every kind of trinket you can imagine. On a June morning in 1983, the city of New York was awakened by an extraordinary phenomenon. Menudo, a Latin pop group, had set foot on American soil. Their arrival at the airport, a scene of admiration, euphoria, and youthful chaos, was just the prelude to an unprecedented cultural impact. American record labels, accustomed to the usual standards of success, were perplexed. What's happening? They wondered, seeing thousands of young people gathered to see a group from Puerto Rico. But what made it so special? The answer was in the crowd, young people who saw in the members of Menudo more than musicians. They saw themselves, bilingual, bicultural, reflecting their own lives and dreams. "They are like me," said a fan, an echo of a sentiment shared by thousands. Teenagers across the country quickly became fans of the group in a fever called menuditis. For others, the correct expression was Spanish Beatlemania. A New York Times article from June 1983 showed that teenage girls were proud to have the menuditis fever, while they filled the streets at the group's appearances and filled the thousands of seats at sold-out shows at Madison Square Garden. By the mid-80s, there were about 100 Menudo fan clubs just in New York. In addition to their physical presence, the group expanded its comprehensive popularity in various ways. From t-shirts and banners to their own bilingual program on the ABC network, Menudo quickly achieved global fame in the early and mid-80s. They even became youth ambassadors for UNICEF, showing a humanitarian side of the superstars. In 1983, the group signed a major contract with RCA Records to release 12 albums in 6 years. They wanted to take advantage of the growing popularity of Latin and Hispanic artists in the US to include it in the country's pop culture. As part of the strategy for the American market, Menudo welcomes its first non-Latino member. His name is Robbie Rosa at 13 years old. He will take the place of leader, which previously belonged to Johnny Lozada. From that moment, the changes of the group members became more and more frequent. At that time, we met figures like Roy Rosello and a boy who would become a pop star years later, named Ricky Martin. Menudo was successful for several years in the United States. They did many sold-out shows and appeared on soundtracks of major films in the mid-80s. It was a very profitable period for the group, which started as a small family project. However, in the late 80s, they faced strong competition from new American groups like New Kids on the Block and New Edition. This made it difficult to maintain Menudo's success outside the Latin American market. Finally, RCA Records terminated the contract with the group, which made them try to succeed elsewhere. From now on, we will explore a lesser-known side of boy bands, focusing on the group Menudo. Bands like this, especially those that did not speak English as their main language, were exploited and commercialized. Menudo, composed of teenagers between 12 and 15 years old from Puerto Rico, became an example of the industry's obsession with youth and male talent, aiming to maximize profits. The documentary series Menudo Forever Young from HBO Max brought revealing facts. The 4-episode series, presented in Spanish and English, details the management of Edgardo Diaz, highlighting how he replaced members when they reached puberty and the challenges faced by young people in relation to remuneration and education due to tours and rehearsals. While for some, Edgardo was the creative and magical mind that shaped the Menudo phenomenon, for others, he was irresponsible, greedy, and deceitful. In the documentary, the problems with the members' remuneration came to light. In the beginning, the young members of Menudo were treated as business partners, but this approach quickly changed. Edgardo soon realized that it would be more profitable and convenient to keep them only as employees. This meant that they were paid for the performances, but not for the time spent on album promotions or merchandise profits. Moreover, the contract for the members of Menudo was extremely heavy. When signing the document, the parents gave parental rights to Edgardo. In the 90s, Menudo faced a decisive moment. Deeper internal problems affected the group. In November 1990, 2 members, Sergio Blas and Ruben Gomez, were caught with drugs at Miami Airport. By December, 4 of the 5 remaining members left the band, alleging negligence, exploitation, and bullying by other colleagues, all under the watchful eye of Edgardo Diaz. Serious accusations of physical and sexual abuse also came to light, revealing a devastating facet of the band's history. The most serious of these accusations came from former member Angelo Garcia, who reported, "During my time in Menudo, I was violated a number of times and that's how the predators took advantage of me." Sergio Blas, in turn, reported that often they had no supervision or real security. "Once we were in Colombia, I was with Ruben Gomez, and we had just arrived at the hotel. We entered our room. Suddenly, a random guy comes in, and he takes out what must have been about a kilo of cocaine. We were scared because we didn't know this person, but the guy was actually one of the producers and promoters." Andy Blasquez, who was part of Menudo from 1991 to 1997, criticized Edgardo for the extreme sexualization that he said he faced in the band from the beginning, like excessively inappropriate jokes that should not be told to children. These allegations, although already known, were largely ignored by the media and the industry. Bolivar Arellano, a freelance photographer who worked with Menudo, claimed on a Puerto Rican talk show in 1991 that several band members were given alcohol, drugs, and were molested. Later that year, former member Ralphie Rodriguez appeared on the Univision program El Show de Cristina and confirmed this. The producer, who also appeared on the program, denied the accusations and belittled Ralphie, stating that he was doing all this for money. To this day, he denies having committed such atrocities.
Hijo el que me está difamando a mí.
¿Por qué?
Por la barbaridad que estaba diciendo. Para eso es mentira. Usted no sabe que es mentira.
Roy Rossello, in an interview on the Brazilian program Domingo Espetacular in 2014, shared that he too was a victim of harassment. He had kept silent until then because he did not feel prepared to talk about the subject. Now, his goal is just to raise awareness about the problem. He also mentioned that he has already forgiven Edgardo for everything that happened. In 1997, amid accusations, Edgardo Diaz sold the rights to Menudo, which changed its name and recruited older members, but came to an end in 2002. Despite its immense success, including 32 members, 34 studio albums, and countless world tours, Menudo's legacy is tarnished by these dark stories. In October 2020, Anthony Galindo Ibarra, a Venezuelan artist who joined the group in 1995, died at the age of 41 in a Miami hospital after attempting to take his own life. Known as El Papi Joe, he was facing a deep depression intensified by the pandemic and the impossibility of performing. In 2021, the music world suffered another loss with the death of Ray Reyes at the age of 51 due to a heart attack. Ray, who was part of the height of Menudo in the 80s, reunited with the band on several tours, including the 15th anniversary and the 2019 one. Johnny Lozada paid an emotional tribute to Ray on Instagram, reflecting on the difficulty of losing life brothers. The trajectory of Menudo, full of ups and downs, reveals a complex and painful reality for fans who often seek to discredit and belittle. This part of the story challenges us to look beyond the music and stardom, facing the harsh truths behind fame.